Welcome back to our latest episode of On the Line. It's Monday, April 29th, and we're coming off the biggest weekend we've had this season. Naturally, we were all at the Penn Relays. Craziness ensued.
So crazy. My voice is God. It's like really God. Wow. Yeah, but it was so much fun.
I can't, like, compared to last year, like, this was just, like, I feel like anytime I turned my head, something crazy would happen, and it was just, like, one of those, like, oh my gosh moments. I don't know about y'all, but, like, that was just, like, one of the craziest meets I've ever witnessed.
100%. And we will definitely get into it. I'm Corey. She's Olivia. She's Ashley. We're going to talk about it. We'll try to unpack some of the best moments from the weekend at Franklin Field, and we'll look ahead to the Texas State Championships as well. On today's show, we will have post-meet reflections, including a lightning strikes twice moment for the 4x4 on the boys' side. National records galore. State championships are up on the schedule. We'll also talk about the Texas State meet, which will feature some of the best finishes and performances we'll see all year. We'll talk Elizabeth Leachman. We'll talk Duncanville versus Atascocita and maybe Katie Tompkins. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. And naturally, that's all going to happen at Mike Meyer Stadium in Austin, Texas. So stay tuned for all of that. First up, Penn Relays, meet reactions, meet reflections. Olivia, what was the third straight Penn Relays like for you?
It was a vibe. It was a total vibe. As Ashley mentioned, it just felt like every event had something special, something memorable, something was going off. It was such a wild weekend. I felt like there was never a dull moment. There was music playing. Ashley and I were dancing on the infield at one point. Like,
You were.
people
Yes.
were
At night, distance night.
It was great. And Ashley, I hate to be this person, but I think you need to go to Stanford every year to take on the weather because the weather was amazing. Like, it drizzled during the last day just for a brief moment, and drizzle's a very light word. Like, it was just barely coming down, but the weather, you couldn't ask for a better Penn Relay weather. It was just fantastic. It was great.
I agree. What are your thoughts?
I think back to, like, specifically that last day on Saturday, again, like as you mentioned, just something wild seemed to happen in every event. I mean, we had falls, we had face plants, we had dropped batons, we had, just matchups that came down to final sprints to the finish. We had records go down, both on the high school and the collegiate side. Like, there was just never a point where it was like, oh, that was just an okay race. I feel like it really, especially on the relay side, it lived up to the hype of, like, this is the Penn Relays.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was like cause correlation, but like the weather created an incredible environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fans were out the roof every single day. Like, you looked around the bowl of Franklin Field on that final day, and you literally, the stands were up through the first bowl, like fully filled. Yet even some of them at the top. I mean, Franklin Field holds 52.5, and I could reasonably say that was at least 25,000 people.
That was going to be my guess, somewhere in the
so?
20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, across the 3 days, the total ticket sales, it usually gets over 100. I would be generous to say maybe that did happen because it was just a perfect 3 days at Franklin Field. And the hometowns won, the hometown teams, Villanova's, the Wildcats from Philadelphia had an epic performance on the college side. Like, on the high school side, Union Catholic's just across the state line in New Jersey. I mean, the high schools did amazingly, and obviously we saw pro races too. They all went out off unhitched. It was crazy. It was awesome. Of the 3 years we've been to Penn Relays, I think that was my best, experience.
We also had amazing cheesesteaks.
We did.
That was great.
We did.
First
Wait,
day
can
was
we
awesome.
please plug our cheesesteak
Are we gonna
video?
plug this
Yeah, I think
video?
we should. Corey, this is your idea, so I think you should plug it.
Well, it didn't really go off really well because the video is not hitting right now on YouTube, but we tried 4, hyped up spots across the city. We did a full circle, traveled at least 50 miles to get to all these spots, and then we just rated them everywhere we went.
It was so good. I was definitely full when we were, I was able to eat after. But
Okay, so D'Alessandro's is still your
D'Alessandro's,
Yeah, that was the best.
I'm coming back next year again.
What about Frankfurt Hall? Last night we went to Frankfurt Hall.
That was a cool
in
place.
Fishtown.
That was a cool environment.
That
I
was
liked
cool.
that. That was a
The whole
great
vibe.
place. It was like the German theme, Like,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was cool. That
Yeah.
was epic.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Loved it. MileSplit after dark at
Yes,
Frankfurt Hall.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, let's move to our next topic. It is the highly abnormal 4x4 Championship of America boys moment featuring Bullis School and Quincy Wilson. I don't know how in the world this happened, but in the heats and in the final, Bullis went down each
What?
time.
Each time. You guys were producing the On podcast, and all of a sudden, I left my phone inside.
Oh no, we
pit.
were. It
watching.
wasn't on. It wasn't on yet.
It wasn't on yet.
But
you
there
guys
was
were
a
getting ready.
there was a big screen right there, and we were just hovered around it.
I just remember because I didn't bring my phone. I was like, we're gonna be fine. I just had my watch, so I'm out there, and all of a sudden, I just hear everyone go, "Whoa!" And I'm looking, and I don't see Bullis. And I'm looking up at the jumbo. I don't see Bullis School. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not happening. All of a sudden, Ashley texts me. I get it on my watch. She's like, what happened? Because you guys were about to go live, and I'm trying to text on my watch. I'm like, the Bullis School's down. And I'm just sitting there just like pacing back and forth, just trying to understand what is about to happen. And Quincy went from 5th to 1st, 44-37, to make the fastest Penn Relay high school split in history. And I know we have a clip that we're about to play in just a moment. And to put this in perspective, like the previous best was 44.80. And Quincy just did that to play.
Do we know if that was Obi Moore or not? Do we know if that was
I think
Obi
it
Moore?
was Obi Moore.
Is it Obi Moore?
Was
Was it?
Obi Moore.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it was just wild, that very first prelim.
So they had a fall in the heat.
Yes.
They finished with the fastest time of the heats in 3:14, despite falling in the first leg. How crazy is that? He had a 52 on that first 400.
Yeah.
It looks like we have the video up here now to watch too.
I mean, just explaining it a little bit.
Archbishop Carroll, LaSalle
So you
Academy.
see the fall there, right? Bullis is on the leadoff leg, picks up the baton, keeps going. Kudos to him, honestly,
Yes,
for
kudos.
recognizing. And then here we go. This is
Yeah.
the third leg, about to hand off to Quincy Wilson. They were actually in 6th place going into this, and as you can see there, Quincy just so determined. He ran basically this entire leg in lane 2. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like he was hugging the rail. He ran like 300 meters in lane 2. And just look at this gap that he makes up. I think we had Will Grundy on the call, and he started counting how many people he was pecking off.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It was Carson and Will on the call, and Will just started going 1, 2 men, 3 men, 4 men. Like, you just do not see this almost ever.
The environment. Someone asked me, actually, I can't remember if it was you, but someone did ask me, they're like, what was it like when he crossed the finish line? I said, it was a complete blur. All of a sudden, you just see a mob of people from the infield just coming up to the finish line to get photos and just see Quincy and just. Someone asked me, did he look tired? I said, I honestly can't remember because I didn't see him.
There's the baton drop again, and
that's
again,
at least 4 seconds of time right there.
But okay, so we got through the heats. We managed to get through it. We go to the final. We think everything's all peachy, and we'll have a clean run, and ends up we fall again on the exchange going into the third runner.
Yep.
And it basically detracts Bullis' whole hopes and dreams.
It was heartbreaking. It was, I can't even describe the vibe and the energy inside Franklin Field because they were in the mix. Like, it was just, they were, 4 or 5 teams, like, in that front pack. And all of a sudden, it's just a tumble at the exchange. They just go down. I couldn't even get a good view. Did you see, like, you said someone must have pushed someone, or I
Actually, we have the
know.
video.
We do
so
have the video.
I think we're going to try to cue that up to the boys 4x4 2A final, and we'll be able to watch it. But, it was like there was just a huge mixture, and you said that basically someone falls, and then they kind of flip the field.
They come into the exchange zone 5 across, and there is 0 space to operate.
Yeah.
So Bullis is between 2 Jamaican teams.
Right.
And the Jamaican team to their right was Excelsior. And right before he's about to hand off, I think this is it.
Yes,
This is the moment.
This is the second
This is the
exchange.
moment. You can see Excelsior's inbound runner kind of putting a little bit of an arm on a shoulder. And as he does that, I think that's Roberson, makes a turn right. And then, yeah.
Yep. And Bullis goes down.
So the way I described it to a couple people was that, like, if you've ever had, like, a friend that was playing a prank on somebody, and then, like, you just put a person laying horizontal behind, someone, and you, like, kind of just pushed them playfully, he would fall. That's kind of what happened. He literally lined up across the track. There was nowhere for Roberson to go.
Yeah.
You had to fall at that moment.
And, of course, as we're seeing here, Quincy on the anchor tries to make up as much as he can. I mean, still, they were in, again, I think it was 6th place, and they end up, if you watch, I mean, he's still moving, you know, like he splits 44 yet again, trying to get his team in contention, but this time with that fall, it just wasn't enough, you know, at the end of the day.
And it's so bittersweet because this is the 8th to last race of the Penn Relays. Everyone stayed there anticipating this race.
Yes, yeah.
This was like the conclusion of 3 days of awesome action. And if Bullis had been there, no fall, they win this race. Kingston College's anchor runs 46. Excelsior's runs 47. Quincy's got that race.
Yep.
Bullis wins that race.
Bullis wins if they don't. They win easily if they don't fall.
Quincy went 44-69. Like on that last. So 2 44 splits in one day.
The guy is just incredible. I can't describe it. He is. I mean, it's often said that athletes like him are otherworldly, and I think that gets overused. I think a lot of adjectives get overused when we're describing athletes, but I truly think Quincy Wilson is otherworldly. There's nobody like him right now at his age.
No one's like him.
I mean, what other 16-year-old are you seeing split 44 twice in one day? Maybe Jonathan Sims, but I mean,
back to back within like 5 hours.
Within 5 hours.
That's the thing.
Too.
That's the thing.
That's hard.
And it wasn't even hot. Like, it wasn't raining at this point. It was cool. You can see the Jamaican teams have on, long sleeve. I was, in between interviewing athletes. I had my jacket on, took it off, did the interview. So it wasn't even hot. So I know Ashley's like, I kind of want to see another 800 from Quincy just to see what he does.
Selfishly.
Yeah.
I want to see what this kid can do now with blocks, him alone in the 400 one more time.
One last thing. I don't know if we see it right after he finishes the line, but you know what? Yeah, after you have a disappointing finish, sometimes it can get to you. You can feel despondent. You can feel kind of like worried.
Oh,
but what's
there
he
you
do?
go.
What's he do? What's he do? He puts a thumb up to the crowd. Like
We're
that.
good.
That is a true, just a true guy.
Yeah.
At the line. Love to see it. Love to see it. All right, so let's move on from the 4x4, and we'll go to high school national records set at the Penn Relays. There were two more of them. Girls 4x8, Union Catholic girls ran 8:41.20. And in the girls 4x4, despite Bullis losing to Heidel, they ran a new national record, 3:35.17. I guess let's break these up in packs here, and we'll start first with the 4x4. Olivia, let's go to you first.
Again, Bullis, just another wild race. It was pretty much Heidel and the Bullis school. That was it. It was just those two teams getting after it. It was so wild because the last 150, there was just pushing and shoving happening. You could just see the girls elbowing each other. Like Heidel was on the inside, Bullis was on the outside, and they're just literally just trying to get to the finish line for the 4x4. But the Bullis school lowered their mark from a 3:35.23 to a 3:35.17. Quite impressive. That was still an incredible race to just witness like that.
A lot of contact throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, it's kind of part of the stakes of the race. I mean,
Yeah.
you saw a little bit of an elbow, but how do you look at that last action, I guess?
Yeah, I'd love to pull up the race. I think we have a different one queued up right now, but we have a girls 4x4 COA final video where you can actually see some of that shoving. I was right there on the turn. I was just in the right spot at the right time. As Olivia mentioned, that final 100, I mean, it was just a little physical, I think Bullis kind of got drifted in the lane one a little bit, kind of in Heidel's territory, and they just kind of shove each other a little bit. But, that's kind of how it is. I feel like in a high-stakes environment like the Penn Relays, you're trying as hard as you can to battle for your team, and that's what happened here. And here we have the race video now, so let's go ahead and take a look at it.
Yeah, I think it's gamesmanship.
Yeah.
I think it's a part of just competing in an environment like that. I mean, do you want to break this down, Ashley?
Yeah. So as you're going into this anchor leg, you have Heidel in the lead, Bullis right on their tail. I feel like, so as you're going into this backstretch here, right, she's kind of sitting on her. Bullis is kind of sitting on Heidel. And then as you see, as we get closer to this turn, she kind of goes wide a little bit out into lane 2 to try to almost make a pass a little bit. And then this is where things start to get physical here in a second. You'll see some of that elbow action I was talking about.
Yeah, you have to run up on the shoulder toward the middle of the curve because you have to give yourself room.
And
to
right
operate.
there, you see some elbows because they were both battling there in lane 1. But
I mean, she wasn't in her lane. I mean, I
Yes,
think.
and see, I want to make a comment on that because unfortunately I was on the wrong end of the stick with this, where I actually got DQ'd at the SEC Indoor Championships that made A&M lose that title because I was on the anchor leg. Florida had the inside lane, and there was not enough room for me to cut all the way in. So what did Ebony Utsi do? She shoved me over, and rightfully so, because I did not give her enough space. So I'm happy that Bullis did not get disqualified for kind of merging in, but I also understand her perspective because you're not trying to run 402 meters. You're coming down the home stretch.
Right.
So I understand that thought process. So I'm just really grateful that it was just fall for a second place finish.
These
here.
things happen
they do.
instinctually. You're not thinking about it. Your arm, you sense somebody, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
sense somebody, and there's where it goes.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So just a little contact there.
Yeah. I mean, they still end up with a national record. I did text Joe Lee afterward, and he said, we run to win. Obviously,
Yeah.
it is what it is. We set a record, but you run to win. So they were a little disappointed by that. And obviously the 4x4. So they just have to look towards next year,
Yeah.
basically, to do it all over again. The next race that we did have queued up earlier, maybe we could put that up again. It's the Union Catholic Girls in the 4x8, 841-20. Ashley, let's go into this a little bit. What did you see from the Vikings here?
You know, last year, we all were there watching the 4x8 last year, and we were impressed. Union Catholic went U.S. number 2 all-time in this event. This year, they actually get the record, and it was just a dominant effort really all around. As you can see here, Paige Shepard, their star freshman, was anchoring this one home, and they were really close to that record. She had to put down, I believe it was a sub-2:10 split for her there, and I mean, she had her coaches screaming her on, and it came down to those closing meters, and she was able to grab that win, 8:41.20, new national record. I mean, Union Catholic, as we've mentioned before, they know how to put together a 4x8, and this is the moment I think they've been working toward.
Missed it by a second last year.
Yep.
Yes.
They were just off. They went U.S. number 2 all time last year. So you have to come back looking for a little redemption. It was actually a 2:07 split from Shepard.
207.
I couldn't remember the time.
They went
sub 2:10.
2:11, 2:11, 2:10, and then she rips off a
2:07.
2:07.
And
That's impressive.
what is remarkable is they didn't just take down a slow 4x8. Like, they took down Eleanor Roosevelt. If you were around during that 2008 time period, you know how fast that was. It stood for so many years, and they went 8:43.12. And so the fact that the ladies literally won this by 9 seconds. So to put that in perspective, it was almost a solo effort. It was just Union Catholic against the clock and Edwin Allen finishing right there. And the fact that, you know, those ladies were able to come together, run the number 3 Penn Relay time in history is absolutely remarkable.
Well, how fitting is it that they did it on that day? You told us a story about Roosevelt, right?
Yes, Eleanor Roosevelt, the Jamison sisters, the twins, were actually on the infield, and they were part of that legacy program for Eleanor Roosevelt. And they even came up to me. They were like, the record went down. It finally went down. I was like, I know.
Isn't that funny how that happened?
It's so funny how that happened. So, and I believe they did it at Penn Relays too, if I'm not
They did.
mistaken.
It was
So
from
just
Penn Relays, yeah.
Amazing how it comes in full circle like that.
One final note about Union Catholic, 4x8 wasn't their only race that they proceeded to have, good result from. 4x4, underrated moment here. They went 8:41. I'm sorry, in the 4x4, they were third there behind Heidel and Bullis, and then they made the final in the 4x1. So 3 Championship of America finishes all in the finals there from Union Catholic. We talked to Jim Lambert in the media area, and he's like, never been done. Never been done before. Never been done. Union Catholic. So they had a really, really good performance there. So shout out to that team. Okay, so state championships are coming up on the docket here from May all the way through June, mid-June, really. So we wanted to ask ourselves, which states are the best at certain disciplines? We'll start first with the distance. Ashley, which state is the best at the distance?
Well, this was the first state that came to my mind just to think about how deep this state is at distance and also just how hard it is to qualify. I think you got to go with California. If you look historically, I mean, just consistently every year, and especially in recent years, I mean, I just think of how many of those athletes from California populate the national rankings. I mean, you have obviously big names like Sadie Engelhardt, and then you think back to the Newbury Park boys when they were in high school. But you just go down the list, and all these athletes could run at national championships. And then with CIF, it's just so hard to qualify through to actually make that state meet. And it's it's all that one, and you're all competing against each other. And I think I got to say California.
I don't think there's any dispute there. I agree.
Okay, good. So I made a right choice.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like no holds bar. Basically, California is the place to be in the distance ranks. Sprints. Olivia.
Like mine's gonna be very controversial.
Okay.
A lot of people have a
Controversial.
lot of things to say when it comes to which state has the best sprint program. I know there's gonna be conversations about Florida, Texas, California. I'm even gonna throw Georgia and North Carolina in the mix. Just
So what are you
for
going with?
history.
Yeah,
I'm going
what
with
is it?
Texas for me. I feel like Texans are just a different breed out here. If you think about what it takes to get to the state championships, it's one and done. Like you go to districts, there's areas, there's regionals, then you get to states. There's no prelims. All that prelims stuff happened a couple weeks ago, last weekend, so on and so forth. When you're at the state meet, whatever place you finish is the place that you finish in. That is it. And just even looking at where we are when it comes to just the fastest times, just in the 100 alone, when you think about the boys, number 2 through number 8 in the country right now, all win legal times, by the way. I don't do the win dated stuff or the non-win. All win legal marks are from the state of Texas. When you look at number 10 on that list, you got Kane Stanley there from Florida. So just throwing that out there. When you look at the girls, you have Adeja Hodge, Mackenzie Travis, who are number 1 and number 5 in the country. But when you look at spots number 2 through 4, number 7 and 11, held by Texans. And then, of course, the Frederick sisters from Georgia are spots number 5 and 9. So you got a lot of mixture of the states, as I mentioned before, but I think Texas is where you need to be if you want to run fast times in the sprints.
You know, it might be a hot take, but I could say that Texas pretty much owns every discipline but the distance events. I
would kind of agree with that because I know we're going to get to the other disciplines later, and I had to throw Texas in there.
But if we're talking sprints, I mean, you just annotated it beautifully. Like,
And that was just one event. I could have gone more.
That's true.
But
Just the
I was
100.
like, let me just stick to the 100.
And then, I mean, then you get to the relays. I mean, we've seen what the boys have done in the 4x1 this year and the ladies as well. I mean, like, it just goes on and on.
yeah.
Exactly.
All right, the throws. I will throw a little bit of a curveball here
Unintended?
into the no curve. We're getting in the sector. We're hitting the sector. Hitting the sector. Javelin. No state competes with Louisiana in the javelin. They have U.S. number 2, 7, 13, 16, 26, 46. Really, really strong coaching across the state. You always see Louisiana athletes in the top 5 overall. A lot of them have broken records at the national level. So Louisiana, for me, unparalleled best state in that event. Now, if we're talking discus, it's absolutely Texas. Number 6, 9, 10, 16, 18, 23, 24, 32, 34, 38, 42, 46 best discus throwers, all from Texas. And shot put, kind of littered too. So overall, I would go with Texas on the traditional throwing events, just because they have, you know, the guys and girls that can produce. I have a little bit of like love for Missouri. I think Missouri is a really great track state that loves the sport, and they got a lot of great athletes from that state. Jackson Cantwell, who just talked about, U.S. number 3 right now in the U.S. number 4 in the discus, U.S. number 2 in the shot put. Really, really fantastic athlete in Missouri outside of him, doing well. But Texas, got to go with Texas overall. Any thoughts?
No.
I agree. Those are good points. I like the mention of Louisiana for the javelin.
All right. This is more of a group thought, but jumps.
Texas?
Texas?
Hey, just look at the rankings.
Texas. Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, I'm looking through the rankings right now. Like, if you look, for example, the boys' long jump, Texas on the national rankings, you have them at number 1, number 2, number 7, number 8, and number 10. And that's just the boys. If you go over to the girls, you got number 2, number 4, number 7, number 9, number 11. Again, like, that's just the long jump on the boys and girls, just as an example.
Yeah.
You know what this all leads to? The Texas State Championships live on MileSplit, starting
Yes,
Thursday
yes.
through Saturday. Make sure to check us out. We'll all be commentating the races and the events. Which brings us to the Texas State Championships. Great stuff happening. All going to be on MileSplit. The first topic we want to cover is our superstar, Elizabeth Leachman, who is approaching a pretty mind-numbing triple. The 800, the 1600, the 3200 meters. She's going to do it all in one day of action. How will she...
This is going to be spicy.
How will she do?
I'm excited for
Olivia.
this. I'm really looking forward to it. Just even looking at her regional performances, she was second in the 800, 209, set a new personal best there. 437 in the 16 for a new personal best, 10 flat, so she was pretty much cruising in that 3,200 meters. To kind of give you a perspective of what this day looks like for Elizabeth Leachman, she's going to kick the day off with the 3,200 meters in the morning, followed by the 800 later in the afternoon, and the 1,600 meters to start the day. To be honest with you, I can see her just cruising through, grabbing that state title in the 32. That 800, though, that I think is going to be her toughest race of the day. Just even looking at it, you have three other girls that are going to be in this conversation. You're going to have Isabel Conde de Frankenberg, who's currently number 5 in the state right now with a 209.32. Kaylee Littlefield, number 6 in the state, 209.56.
And the 3-time defending 800-meter champion.
There you go. Haley Johnson, number 8 in the state, 209.88. Are you seeing a trend here? They're all 209s. Elizabeth Leachman is number 9 in the state with a 209.90. So we're just putting up our best right now from this year. You got 4 girls that have gone 209. So that I think is going to be the toughest race.
The biggest question, 3 hours between the 1,600 meters. I'm sorry. Do we have 800? Oh, 800 at 520 to the 1,600 meters.
Yeah.
I don't know. That 16 to me is the hardest one because
You think so?
Yeah, the 800's all speed, but you're going to take some energy. Like that requires a certain energy system for the 800.
Right.
And then can you recover in 3 hours to put your work toward the 1,600? I mean, I think that's going to be a really difficult task for Leachman.
Interesting.
I actually think, because I see both points.
Yeah.
I think I just have to go with the 800 being the most difficult just because of the competition in it, right? Like, I think, but now that I say that, like, I don't know. Like, I think the 800 is the most difficult, right? Because, like you mentioned, you have the 3-time defending champion, Kaylee Littlefield. You have Isabel Conde de Frankenberg, who has, like, sub 206 speed in her on a really good day. We know Leachman can really dial it in for like the 32, and I feel like more recently that 16, like she's kind of like a metronome. She's just going to go out and just kind of click off those laps. 800 is a little bit different, where it's, I mean, it's 2 laps. It's more all out, more of a sprint in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess to go to Corey's point, like my concern is like if you go all in on that 800 and exert so much effort just to win that title, then when you bounce back to the 16, what are you going to do there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It takes away from the effort.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still in debt, probably coming back into the 1,600 meters. You're not completely fresh. I mean, Texans have dealt with this problem before. It's not a new scenario, and no better person to deal with it than Elizabeth Leachman.
Agreed.
Do you think part of the reason why she's running 3 events is to possibly score 30 points for Bernie Champion? I mean, if they score 30 points, depending on how things stand in 5A, like she could give her team a chance to finish top 5, maybe even higher. But she like the only entries that they really have are with her. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We know she's going to run the 3,200 meters. She's 42 seconds faster than the second seed. That's no issue. I think the biggest issue is the time between the 800 and the 1,600 meters. And when you go up against Littlefield, who won 3 times, kind of hard to beat that, I think.
It is going to be hard. That's why I'm like, the 800 is going to be, it's already stacked just by looking at it on paper.
And for me, I think that race is going to be really tactical.
Yeah.
Second lap, they're going to go at 250, and I'm not quite sure. Like, I see Leachman kind of having that gear with Littlefield and Conde de Frankenberg. But hey, like, this could be sort of the talk that could like spur her to. I don't know. I could be the detractor essentially here, but I just don't see it necessarily. So I don't know.
Oh, this is tough.
It'll be a hard triple, but if
That's
it
gonna be
does
hard,
happen,
yeah.
it'll be an epic triple.
It would be an unconscionable triple.
Yes.
Ashley,
I would love it.
Ashley will be up and out of her chair this weekend.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. If that happens.
At least once.
Hey, when you make this commentary schedule, no bias. You can't be putting yourself on all the best events.
I won't be biased.
Okay.
I promise.
All right.
I promise.
All right, let's move on to the matchup of the century. Duncanville versus Atascocita. Defending champion Klein Forces boys will basically not win just because they don't have enough entries to compete for a state championship here. So we are going to get a new Class 6A champion on the boys' side, and it will be most likely Duncanville or Atascocita. Or if Katie Tompkins has anything to say about it, it could be Katie Tompkins too. So, Ashley, I'll go to you first. Where do we see this matchup kind of drawing out?
I feel like it's just fitting, right? Because all season long we've seen, especially, on that boys' side, when you come down to the sprints and the relays, it's just been Atascocita, Duncanville, like every single weekend. Like they're always the ones that are putting out those top marks that are grabbing national attention, right? So I feel like it's only fitting that it could likely come down to this when, you're looking at the state championships. However, there's a few key, things to consider here, actually. If you're trying to think about, getting points for that state title, those relays in Texas get double points. Not a lot of people, I didn't know that when I first came here, but they get double points. That's going to be, I think, the biggest key for me when you're looking to determine who's going to win this, because Atascocita didn't qualify a 4x2. They have the 4x1, the 4x4. Duncanville, I believe, has all 3 relays. All the relays, basically. So it really just depends on, how well you do in those events. And I think that's going to be the key is, who comes out on top in the relays, and then how well does Duncanville do in that 4x2 that Atascocita doesn't have.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it came down to Klein Forest winning the 4x4 last year.
Yep.
That kind of bumped them up to 58 points total. But in Katie Tompkins' favor is their amount of entries in the meet.
Yes.
Even if you score a 6th or 5th place finish, you're adding to your tally. So if you, get a 3rd place in a 4x2 or a 4x1, I mean, you're going to make up the gap, I think, eventually. Like, the amount of points matters across the board, not just on those big ones. So I kind of think Katie Tompkins is the under-talked about team here that might just steal it.
That's interesting. Just for the record, I'm wearing a Atascocita shirt for a reason today. So the fit is inspired by the Texas State meet, hence the pants and the shirt. But I think to your point too, Corey, what helps Katie Tompkins right now is like what you said, that the fact that they have 8 total entries, but they also have someone in that 32. And that's an event that Atascocita and also Duncanville do not have an entry in. So there you're able to kind of maneuver some of those points a little bit. But when you're looking at like the 110 and the 200, all 3 of them are going to be in that time final. So you have to pretty much chase the guy out in front of you and get as close as you can to winning that event. So it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be close. But Duncanville definitely, with having those 3 relays, really helps them right now.
Do we think if Atascocita doesn't win one of the relays, are they in trouble? Or does a superhuman day from Jelani Watkins plus a win in one of the relays help?
Yes.
Do they have margin for error is what I'm asking.
I don't know if they have margin for error.
No, especially now that you don't have 3 relays and Duncanville has 3. You
then Katie
have
Tompkins
to.
has the spread.
But Atascocita has guys that can win individual races too.
Double points. That's all I'm going to say. Double points.
Okay.
Double points.
Now I'm thinking this through. I do think Jelani can win the 1 and the 2. And if he wins the 1 and the 2, there's no denying that. He could be the X factor for them in terms of winning this meet.
Yeah. I mean, if you win one of the relays, you get him winning 2, that's 40. Maybe you finish 3rd in another. You're still racking up more than 10.
Yeah.
Plus you have Fontenot in the 4.
Yeah.
You could get to 58 still. You could get to 60 maybe without winning one of the relays.
True.
But you really have to perform. That's the only thing.
That's the thing.
The pressure is high. The stakes are high.
You have to perform.
But this man won the 4x1 and the 4x4 at the end of the meet last year. Watkins did. He anchored Klein Forest.
Right.
He knows how to win. He's been in those situations.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Do you think?
Again, I'm wearing the Texas.
Do you think Coach Elton is he's sweating a little bit?
I feel like anyone's got to be.
He's a cool guy. I feel like he's like, yeah, we're just gonna show up on the day. We're gonna get the job done.
It's the state track meet. No, it will be fun. I know we had Duncanville in here a couple weeks back, and we got their perspective on the season. So a lot of the storylines are converging here, and it's going to be epic. All right, next up, what records are we looking out for at the Texas State meet? I mean, could we see national records? Could we see state records? I mean, what are we looking out for here? Ashley.
Mine might be a hot take. I don't know. I'm throwing us a maybe. I don't know.
I like your
You
pick.
like my pick?
I love your pick.
I'm going to talk about the boys 6A 100. The state meet record. I I think Jelani Watkins can get this one, but the thing is, it really depends because we know he's running the 4x1, the 100, and the 2. So it's like, does he want to go all out in the 100? The fastest ever wind legal time ever recorded at the 6A state meet is 10:13 for Matthew Bowling in 2019. I mean, I know he has that speed in him, right? Like, he's run 10-2 consistently all season long. Like, and you know he's a gamer. Like, I think we all follow him on social media. He's been counting down the days till the state meet, so you know he's going to be locked in. And I think he could do it. I think we saw indoors with how he ran the 60. Like, again, he has a lot of that top end speed, and if he wants to break that record, I think he can.
We also have to pray that there's no tornado.
If there's no wind, it needs to be wind legal.
Wind legal.
True.
Wind legal mark. I think he can.
The fastest wind aided time
9.99. 9.99.
9.99.
Yeah. Connor Washington and
I see it
guy
here. Yeah. 9.99 or
RGB.
9. Technically, Jose Garcia.
Garcia, yeah.
Garcia, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's the fastest wind aided.
I think that was 3 years ago, maybe.
2021.
Yeah,
2021.
3
My
years
first year covering the state meet.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Boom.
Okay, so 100. We're thinking maybe 100 here from
Okay.
Ashley.
I like that.
Okay. Olivia.
For me, I'm kind of looking towards that 800 meters with Cooper Lukenhaas from Justin Northwest. He's only a freshman, which is wild to think about. He's a personal best of 150.80, which he ran at the Texas Distance Festival. We all remember that race. It was wild. But he's also been undefeated so far in this 800-meter event. And the UIL 5A state meet record is a 149.41, set back in 1995 by Derek Small. The freshman class record right now is a 149.87, set by Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller.
The Brandon Miller in 2017. So I could potentially see 2 records following the class freshman record, the meet record, and right now Cooper is sitting at freshman number 3 all time. So I'm cheering for Cooper to get that 800 time down.
The only, I think, negative here is, I mean, the heat. How humid was it yesterday?
Oh my gosh.
It was
I mean,
crazy.
This
Crazy
morning when I was
humid.
running, it was humid. It was crazy.
Yes. That's the only thing.
Will that be a detraction from performances if it gets really humid or really hot? What do
Oh
you,
yeah, absolutely. Especially if I feel like it's 400 meters and up. Absolutely. The sprinters are really happy about the heat, but I feel bad for all the distance peeps out there.
So how do we feel about the 4x1 getting downed?
Ooh.
Do we think they're going to make a chase after it again at Tascasita and Duncanville after 38.92?
I don't think it's the main thing that they're striving for. You're just trying to get the stick around at this point. So if it happens, cool. I might go crazy again, but if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be like, all right, cool, that's fine. They got a lot of races to get through.
I say they don't get it. They
Yeah.
don't re-break their record. Maybe this is not me hating. I'm just saying, like, I think that is one race.
Did someone say you're hating?
No, I'm
Oh,
just saying
okay.
I'm going to say I'm not hating, but like I think that 38.92 is a moment that like will never get topped. Like that is something that was just like everything worked and it was insane and like it's going to be a legendary performance for the remainder of time.
Yeah. I kind of am really surprised by both of you because I could not believe your predictions for a certain somebody running a split in the 400 at the Penn Relays.
Hey,
I could not believe the predictions
Okay.
you were making.
technically my first one was kind of close.
Technically, it could have happened if other scenarios did not occur. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Just
you have
throw that out
the
there.
best 4x team ever is right in front of us at the highest stakes meet of the season, going up the best team that outside of them has ever been in the 4x1.
So you're saying yes?
How is that not tailor made to break a record?
Because of the individual events. That's why.
Yes.
You still all these teams also have guys that are running individual events. So you got to have that factored in as well. Like they're not going to be going completely all like they're going all out, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I feel like
I think they break 39.
Really?
I think they break 39
Wow.
again. I didn't say it before. I'm saying it now. I think they break 39 again.
so.
Okay.
38. What?
I think they break 39 is all I'm saying. So we're already 800s better than 39 seconds. So
I'll say 39-3.
Ooh, I was gonna say 39 too.
okay.
That's where my brain's.
All right. I'm getting breaking 39. Maybe not a national record, but I think they break 39 again. Leachman, breaking your own national record in 32. Do we?
See, that one's interesting to me because I could see her. I mean, I know she's tripling, but I also know that she can still run really fast and continue on with her day.
I could continue on with her.
Like it's just clockwork.
I think I told her earlier. I think she'll run 9:50 in the 32. That to her, I feel like that's like a little bit more than a jog, and then she'll go about the rest of her day. Yeah.
I feel like she's just gonna do enough to just grab this title in the 32.
So break 10.
Maybe.
Wow, really? I think she could break 10 easily and still feel fine.
Yes,
I just want
agree
her to
with
feel
that too.
fine. I just want her to be like, this is a warm up, just shake out almost. Like I want to do a little shake out, but with a little emphasis, and then finish, and then gear up for that 8 and 16. But again, it's Elizabeth Leachman. She's a gamer.
Off tangent question right now. Addie Ritzenhein's 9:17 3K or 9:15, whatever it was. Elizabeth Leachman's 9:43. What are you more impressed by?
9:43.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to agree with Ashley. 9:43.
I hate to be like throwing the shade like this episode for Leachman, but I say Addie.
What?
9:43 was done.
The conversion.
Where?
The conversion.
Where?
Between 3K, 9:17.
That's about
32.
That's 32 seconds.
No, from 3K to 32.
It's like 37 seconds, isn't it?
It can't be 30.
It's not. I didn't say 30. I think it's about 37, something like that.
Wait, what is it, Ashley?
I don't know, but not.
You're as if Ashley's a calculator. You should know, right?
Actually, you should know.
No, I think it's right around 37 seconds, maybe somewhere around there. But personally, Ritzenheim, Penn Relays, come on.
That was epic.
Track that isn't fast on a distance level. Come on.
That was epic.
Come on.
Very solo effort, too.
Hey, my calculator here, the MileSplit conversion calculator, calculates it up to a 9:58.32.
Okay. Well,
Saying.
then what was the time?
9:17.
So what is that?
It's roughly
30?
40 seconds. 40 seconds.
9:17 to a 9 what?
To a 9:58.
Okay.
41 seconds.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
That doesn't make sense at all, actually. 41 seconds? What is that? That's an 82.
10.
That's an 82. She's faster than an 80. She's faster than a 41 to finish out.
Than an 82.
The finish.
Well, she's not going to clip off what?
I think she's
30?
I think she's in the
not-
I think she's in the 940s.
I think she's
Absolutely.
940.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not 9:43.
Okay. Well,
9.
all right. I'm just saying what's more impressive in my book.
We love both of them. They both ran well.
Yes.
The only other record I think that's going down, and I'm going to call it here, is the boys 110-meter hurdles. National records 13:08, held by Wayne Davis of Southeast Raleigh of North Carolina from 2009. And I'm going with Mason Dossett from Bridgepoint. He ran
Love that pick.
13:27 at the Texas Relays. That is win legal. I don't know if it's in the system, but that was win legal. 13:27. I think, and he wasn't perfect in that race. I remember it clearly. He could improve from that. So as long as he focuses in and runs a really clean race, I think this guy gets it done.
I agree.
Good pick. I
Wayne
like
Davis
Mason.
is a great guy. Texas A&M.
I remember watching him at Bluebonnet, and he looked really smooth.
Yes.
So
Mason Dossett, it is your time.
But you got Jaden Keys, same race.
Mason
he
Dossett
took down
looks set.
Jaden Keys at Bluebonnet.
He
so,
did. He
yeah.
did. But if Jaden Keys is listening, he's like, "Whoa, hold on, hold on.
Pause.
You might win all the races, but the one that matters is the state title,
State championship.
the state title." So
Go.
that's going to be what we're looking out for at the Texas State Championships. I feel like we had a lot of hot takes this episode.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I apologize. part of the podcast. So we will be there in action starting on Thursday. Make sure to tune in on MileSplit. It's going to be live there. That's it for our show today. As always, we want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. Make sure to stay locked on MileSplit and FlowTrack this weekend for post-meet coverage of the Penn Relays and more to come with the Texas State meet. Thank you for watching. We will see you next Monday.